Hey everybody, I'm going to try to do this video again. I tried to do it yesterday, but I got constantly interrupted by phone calls and the fact that my battery died on me. But I want to basically talk about Dragon Natural Speaker. Now I probably have talked about this before, and if not, I apologize. Well, I probably have talked about this before, and if I have, I apologize. If not, then this is completely new for a lot of you. Now, Dragon Natural Speaker, for anybody that may or may not know what it is, it's basically a software program that allows you to use any kind of mic you can connect to a computer. Either it's a headset mic, a clip-on mic, or a mic like this. You can use any one of these. Or even a studio mic, for instance. You can use any kind of mic that can connect to your computer, and with Dragon Natural Speaker you can speak into the mic what you want to have said on the paper that you're doing. And you can use any format you want. You can use, or not any format, you can use any document software you want. You can use Hollywood Screenwriter, I believe, which is what I have. Somewhere, it's buried somewhere. You could use WordPad, Microsoft Word, Adobe, I think. Adobe Reader, that is. You can even use the internet itself. You can go on message boards and use it there. Now, Dragon Natural Speaker isn't just limited to the computer or the PC. You can actually get it, believe it or not, on your iPod, but it's got to be more like basically about a fourth, fifth generation iPod, as well as on your iPhone, your Android, your iPad, and I think even your Kindle. And basically, just like with the computer, you need a mic for these as well. So basically you get like one of those headset mics that you can listen to music to, but also talk through. One of them. And you could do it there as well. Now, the advantage about this is, let's say you're doing a fan fiction story, and it's not going to be that long. I mean, for me, for example, I did about 2 fan fiction stories so far already with this very speaker. Well, actually not 2, but I've done several with this very Dragon Natural Speaker. I've done one recently, as of yesterday, and I did one about a month ago or so, both involving the same character. Now, it got the story done in good record time. One thing you do have to do, just like if you were typing, I do suggest, and I'm pretty sure anybody knows this, to take breaks. The only problem is you don't have to take maybe a half-hour, hour-long breaks. You can take about maybe a 5-minute, 10-minute break if you want to. Drink some water, kind of relax or whatever for about 5-10 minutes, and then you can go back and do it without no problem. Another thing about it is you could shut off the mic. Basically on top of your screen, on basically I believe the upper right-hand corner, you will see a red box. Click on it, and it will go green, and basically that will allow you to start speaking. Click off it, and it turns it off. So that's a good thing right there in itself. But by doing so, by clicking it off, you're able to take that break. You could also click it off because of one of the flaws that Dragon Natural Speaker has. You see, when you upload the software onto your computer and you choose the mic, it will identify what mic you want to choose. Do you want to do a line-in mic or a USB mic? And as soon as you plug in either one, it will identify it. It will also identify it through your profile. Yes, you got to create a profile that you have to basically open every time you get onto Dragon Natural Speaker. Now, the other thing about it is the fact that before you can start using Dragon Natural Speaker, you got to do basically what is known as a voice test. So what they do is they put like a little text, a little box of text underneath, and they have you basically click the start button, and you basically start recording or reading off the text in the box. So it can identify the volume, and it can the volume recognition, and your voice recognition. Basically your speech recognition, if you will, more so. More so your speech and your volume. Then, after that's all said and done, and you have everything uploaded and ready to go, and just to let you know, you may have to do the speech or the volume thing maybe once or twice, maybe 3 times at most if it doesn't work the first time. But after that, after it's all said and done, after you've done all that and said and done, you're ready basically to start speaking what you're typing. Now don't think you're not going to be able to type, or not be able to type, but don't think this is not going to free you from typing, I should say. Let me correct myself. Don't think this is not going to free you from typing, because you're going to have to type in corrections. You see, this is another flaw that I'm sure I'm not the only one that's dealing with this. True, Dragon Natural Speaker does everything they advertise that it does. The only problem that they don't advertise and talk about is the fact that anytime you try to say a word, it's not going to recognize that word as how you mean it sometimes. Like let's say I'm doing a review or doing a rebuttal or a reply to a message on a message board. And I mentioned the word Eggman. It's not going to say Eggman just like one word. It's going to say Eggman. And it's going to be separate. It's going to say Eggman, or it's going to say Ape Man. See, basically you got to correct yourself, or not correct yourself, but basically, you have to correct yourself by typing in the right word. And sometimes you got to be very careful. It's like, okay, for example, the story I worked on yesterday involved the word elasticity, or elastic. It didn't even, and there were times it didn't even, I had to basically really say the word. I had to really almost emphasize the word and say elasticity. Because instead it comes up with something else. And there are times, like you'll get so caught up in saying something that when you read back on it, there's going to be a word there that you didn't want there because you meant to say something else. That's basically the major flaw about it. It doesn't sometimes understand the word you're saying because it doesn't have all words programmed into it, unless you, of course, take the time, I think, to type in that word. I mean, I'm fortunate when I talk about a character like, say, Bunny Rabbit on there, I'm very fortunate at times, it will capitalize her name. However, if I'm saying, let's say, Bunny's wrist cannon, or Bunny's flying through the air, it won't say Bunny dash S, no, it'll say bunnies, like I'm looking at a bunch of bunnies. And you got to correct that. When I'm talking Sonic the Hedgehog, one of the things you got to do is you got to say Cap, and then say Sonic's name. And then you got to say Cap Hedgehog. It doesn't recognize it, because if you just say Sonic the Hedgehog, it's going to say Sonic the Hedgehog. No capitalization. It doesn't even know what mecha is. You know how it spells mecha? It spells it M-E-C-C-A instead of M-C-H-A. Go figure. Anyway, the point is you're going to encounter, if you have this program or not, and I do recommend you get it, but I am letting you know right now that you are going to encounter several flaws, and the biggest flaw being the fact that you got to correct what you say yourself by typing it in. I'm hoping that with all the upgrades and updates they're doing to every software out there, that the people that have done Dragon Natural Speaker will upgrade and update it to the point that every single word you can think of, from every sorts of dictionary, encyclopedia, media, whatever, is in there, so that you don't have to worry about always correcting yourself. Another thing is, when you try to use the word of a number, it won't say that number correctly sometimes. Most importantly, it won't say 4 correctly in its word enunciation. You got to correct that. At times it will just say F-O-R instead of F-O-U-R. Again, I do recommend getting it because it does help you do your writing. It does help you do your typing or your document quicker if you just speak out what you want to say. And it does. Advantage is it does give your fingers a rest. The disadvantage, and like I said, the flaw, is you got to sometimes go to the typing to correct what you want to say, to basically put what you want to say in there instead of just leaving it the way it is sometimes. Because if you say something and it says something, because if you say a certain word and it says a different word, then you got to correct it. And to me, that's the big disadvantage. Again, the advantage and the positive, it gives your fingers on the typing board, on the typing keyboard, a rest. The disadvantage is you got to always correct Dragon Natural Speaker by typing in the words you want, that you meant to say, instead of what they're giving you. So overall, Dragon Natural Speaker I do recommend getting it, but I am letting you guys know from experience. You get this software, you gotta be careful about how you say certain words because you may have to go back and type in what you say. And again, it doesn't matter what mic you have. You can have a line-in mic, you can have a headset mic, you can have a USB mic like a Rock Band mic. And if you have an iPad or an iPhone, you can download it there. And all you need is a mic on that. And you got those headset mics, if you know what I mean. So overall, this is it's a good product. I'm not saying anything wrong about it. I'm not saying anything totally wrong about it, but I will say it's a good product, but it has its flaws. Its major flaw is the fact that sometimes, 25% of the time, let's put it that way, you have to correct what you're trying to say by typing it in. And another thing as well is that when you do use it, some of your icons on your Windows screen on the bottom will get pushed further down just a little bit, so you have to move those back into the positions they were. You know, like your little icons for, like, say, Real Player or your Kodak or your camera software, you're going to have to push those back up because they will get pushed down just by a bit. But overall, it is a good software. It is a good, I do recommend it. It's great. It's a great software, but it has its flaws. So if I was to rate it, I'd probably give it maybe a 8 out of 10. The 8 being because you got to correct yourself a lot of the time. So that's all I'm going to say. Comment below for any of you guys that may have it or are thinking about it. Again, I recommend it. It's an 8 out of 10 product, but definitely worth checking out for your own purposes if you have any. So I thought I'd just let you guys know. Comment below, and I'll talk to you all later.